Thomas Frank will start work this week as most of his squad will be back on Saturday for the start of pre-season training. Cristian Romero has just stated that Spurs transfer target Eberechi Eze is now open to joining Arsenal. Reports in Spain and England are stating that Atletico Madrid are now prepared to pay Tottenham's asking price of €70 million for defender Cristian Romero. The Football Insider have just stated that Spurs have just had a bid turned down from West Ham of £50 million for Mohammed Kudus, and Newcastle and Chelsea are also interested in the player. Spurs legend Jermain Defoe has come out and said that Thomas Frank is an unbelievable man and an unbelievable coach, and managerless Spurs Women have just announced the signing of Japan international Tōko Koga on a 4-year deal. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another episode of Tottenham News where I'll be going for all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. And if you can, please do vote for us at the Football Content Awards 2025. All of the details are below. Your support is really appreciated. Thank you. Now let's get straight into it, and there is a lot to get through. Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano on Tottenham Hotspur transfer target Eberechi Eze. He has stated after direct contact revealed on Monday, Eberechi Eze has opened doors to Arsenal move in clear way. He is open to joining Arsenal project and attracted by this chance for his future. Arsenal are now informed on release clause details and more. AS in Spain and Team Talk in the UK have both reported about Spurs centre-back Cristian Romero and a possible departure this summer. They have stated that Spurs have slapped a hefty €70 million, the equivalent of £60.5 million asking price on Romero. Atletico Madrid are now willing to meet those demands, though there is a catch. The Spanish giants want their €70 million bid to comprise of €55 million plus €15 million in add-ons. Spurs would prefer to receive more, if not all, of the fee up front and in full. Now, new Spurs boss Thomas Frank will meet his Tottenham Hotspur squad at the end of this week and over the coming weekend as he will begin work ahead of the new season. Many squad members are expected back on Saturday at Hotspur Way, which gives Thomas Frank 2 weeks to work with his squad before Tottenham's first pre-season friendly, which will take place on the 19th of July when Spurs travel to Reading. Now, the latest player that Spurs are heavily interested in is West Ham star Mohammed Kudus, and Football Insider have just stated that West Ham have rejected Tottenham's opening bid for the player. Spurs have tabled an offer of £50 million plus an additional £5 million in potential add-ons for the 24-year-old. The Football Insider then go on to say that West Ham have turned down the approach for Mohammed Kudus as it did not meet their valuation for the player. The Ghana international has a £80 million release clause in his contract, but there is belief that the Hammers are willing to accept offers below that figure. Both Newcastle and Chelsea have been linked with the Hammers star, meaning that Tottenham will likely face competition to wrap up the deal. Tottenham Hotspur legend Jermain Defoe has been talking about new Spurs boss Thomas Frank. He said, "I spent the day with him last season. I went to Brentford with Justin Cochran, who is the coach. I spent a day there just to watch training and how they did things there, and it was amazing. I was so impressed. Unbelievable man, unbelievable coach. For all the Tottenham fans listening, you have got a top manager there." Jermain Defoe has also been talking about Spurs chairman Daniel Levy, and he said, do you know what it is with Daniel? People don't know him. He has this sort of perception. Daniel is a proper businessman. I know people have opinions, but if you want to go into business and run a club, who would you look at? The best training ground, the best in class, the best coaches in the academy, the best stadium. He has managed to do that. Now that Tottenham have won a trophy, it meant so much to him. I messaged him before the game and he said, this means so much to me. And he also said, this means so much to me and this football club. And you saw some clips after the game and you could see afterwards he was buzzing. Foot Mercato have just reported that Castello Lukeba is looking to leave RB Leipzig this summer. There is no shortage of interest in the 22-year-old centre-back. The Frenchman is very much to a departure this summer. He is attracting interest from 3 clubs that will be playing Champions League football next season: Bayern Munich, Liverpool and Tottenham. Managerless Tottenham Hotspur Women have a brand new signing. On Wednesday, the Tottenham Hotspur Women announced that Tōko Koga has signed for Tottenham Hotspur Women from Feyenoord, subject to international clearance and a work permit. The 19-year-old Japan international has agreed a deal that will run until June 2029, and she will wear the number 32 shirt. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode, and let's start by talking about Eberechi Eze going to Arsenal. Fabrizio Romano has stated that he is open to a move to Arsenal. Gutted about this news, actually, because I've been raving about Eberechi Eze, and I would like to see him in a Spurs shirt. I feel like he would be a fantastic signing, a statement signing, and our rivals are just going to get stronger by having a player of that ability in their team. So not only have we missed out, but the rivals down the road have just got stronger. Absolutely gutted, in all honesty. £68 million from what I understand as well, that this could have been paid in instalments, exactly what I think Arsenal are about to do. So absolutely gutted about this. Great Premier League experience, brilliant in the final third, very hard-working player, a player with a lot of flair, and I believe that we could get a lot more out of Eze if he was in this Spurs team as well. Absolutely gutted. I've been talking about him for years, been talking about him in multiple transfer windows, particularly in the last couple of years, and absolutely gutted that, number one, we're not getting him, and number two, he's joining our biggest rivals down the road. Atletico Madrid are apparently prepared to pay Tottenham 70 million euros for Cristian Romero. I tell you what, if Romero does end up leaving in this summer transfer window, it would be a real kick in the gut, kick in the teeth, because a player of this quality is going to be extremely hard to replace. Now, a lot of people thought that, why would we be putting a offer in for Mark Gay in the January transfer window if Romero was staying? Fabrizio Romano also stated that Son would be staying, no problem, if Ange Postecoglou was still the manager, and now he's got to talk to the manager, Thomas Frank, about possibly staying. There have also been various reports that I've seen where people have said that Cristian Romero, because Spurs have won the Europa League, he now wants to be playing Champions League football at Tottenham. There are so many reports, there are so many mixed opinions, and that's probably all it is opinions rather than actual fact. Time will tell on a situation like this. Will Romero want out? Romero has actually questioned the ambition of the football club and, the types of players that we have bought before. And, I've no doubt that players like that now will be thinking, well, what are Spurs going to be doing in this transfer window? We're playing Champions League football. I think Romero is going to be asking the same questions all of us are asking at the moment. We've just won the Europa League. We're going to be playing Champions League football. We want to be competing on all fronts. We want to be moving up that Premier League table. We need real quality players in, and it hasn't happened as yet. Now, Thomas Frank will be starting his job officially this week. And I say officially, what I mean is, him actually on the training pitch and him meeting all of his players, for the first time. He hasn't met most of the squad. He's met a couple of players that we've seen in these few videos that Spurs have put out. So he'll be meeting his squad properly. He'll be assessing every single squad member, seeing who we want to keep, seeing what positions that players can play in, etc., etc. And, he will have 2 weeks, just 2 weeks. That is not a lot of time to prepare for the first pre-season friendly away at Reading, and then the following week away at Luton. And then, of course, we go to Hong Kong and we go to South Korea as well. And then we've got a friendly also in Munich, and then followed very quickly by that Super Cup final against PSG, and then the season starts. It's happening very, very quick. These games are coming around quick. You think that you've got a summer off, and then all of a sudden, in a couple of weeks' time, we're playing our first pre-season friendly. So most of the squad will be back late this week. Most of the squad will be back Saturday to work with Thomas Frank. So Thomas Frank will have a clear 2 weeks to work with his squad in order to prepare them for that Reading game, which will be Thomas Frank's first one in charge. Can't wait to see Thomas Frank actually get stuck in this role. Jermain Defoe has spoken out so complimentary about him, saying he's an unbelievable man, an unbelievable coach. I've said this in previous episodes, so I don't want to keep repeating myself, but everyone who I've seen talking or heard of talking about Thomas Frank, so complimentary. Everyone has been so complimentary. I've not actually found a bad comment that someone within football has said a bad comment about Thomas Frank. If you've seen one or you've heard one, let me know. Put it in the comments, because I haven't seen one yet. Everyone is so complimentary about the manager. When I've gone away and researched Thomas Frank, that little bit more. Obviously we all know him from, the last 4 years or so in the Premier League with Brentford. But when you research, and really delve into the history of a player or a manager, manager in this instance, you learn a little bit more about them. And, so many compliments about him, and, what a great job that he's done at Brentford. We all know that. But in order for us to be fighting on all fronts, which I keep using that term because, I've heard Daniel Levy say it a couple of times now, both written down and on that video with Vinay Venkatesham. If we want to be fighting on all fronts, we need the players. You need to be giving the manager the tools. So Spurs do have, and I said this the other day, Spurs have a lot of catching up to do, because when you are seeing some of these signings, we talk about Eze now joining Arsenal. They've made some really good signings. Chelsea are making signings. João Pedro is the latest one they've just signed. Great player from Brighton. Liverpool, the business that they have done, and look how far ahead that the likes of Liverpool were of Spurs last season. They're going to get further and further ahead. So Spurs do have a lot of catching up to do, a lot. Now, in terms of the way that Spurs are doing business at the moment, I would question again, talking about club signings, that term club signings, it's pretty obvious that it does go on. It's pretty obvious that it is going on. Spurs Women today have announced a signing of Japan international Toga on a 4-year deal. Now, Spurs Women currently don't have a manager. So we are making signings at the football club without even having a manager. The Ben Davies contract was sorted before Thomas Frank came in. The Tell deal was virtually done. Mohammed Kudus, the interest in him was there before, even under Ange Postecoglou. So I don't think necessarily these are manager signings. These are definitely club signings and the input from the football club. I know this is the modern day game, and this is the way that a lot of football clubs operate now. But, I'm very old school in that way, where I just think that a manager needs to be heavily involved in the choice of players, particularly when it is their system that is going to be played on the pitch week in, week out. And I just think that the manager needs to be heavily involved in picking players, going forward. It's all well and good, the club saying to Thomas Frank, "Oh, what do you think about Mohammed Kudus?" And the manager Thomas Frank just goes, "Yeah, okay, yeah." Is that a player that he would have chosen? Is it a player that he would have gone for? Would he have preferred an Eze? Would he have preferred a Semenyo? I get the fact that Spurs don't want to go out and and offer huge wages. They would rather go down the route of they start wages, at a certain figure, certain sum, and then when that player progresses and delivers on the pitch, then of course they will then reward that player with an updated contract with more money. That is exactly how Spurs operate in terms of money. We've seen that with Harry Kane and we've seen that with Heung-min Son in the past. They've always been given better and bigger contracts on more money, but it is about delivering on the pitch. But I'm not sure whether Spurs can keep up with the rest of the Premier League teams operating in that way. So this transfer window is going to be very, very interesting for me. And also, Ange Postecoglou said on numerous occasions before he was fired, having won the Europa League, that this transfer window was all about experience. I feel that the club are not about the experience this summer transfer window. I still feel like the club are about young and up and coming players for the future, to turn these players into stars in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time, rather than bringing in experienced players that I feel like a lot of us fans want, including me. I feel like we've got a number of up-and-coming players, that can be developed into stars, but you need that good mixture. You need that mixture of players that are ready right now, those players that are ready to walk into this team and know exactly what their job is and know exactly what they've got to do. And, been there, got the T-shirt, experience in winning trophies, etc., etc. Those older senior players in the dressing room as well. And, this transfer window, a couple of weeks before the season starts, if you're talking about someone like Cristian Romero could suddenly leave the football club, and also Heung-min Son could suddenly leave the football club, you are taking out two senior figures in that dressing room and two of our best players as well. And those guys will certainly need to be replaced with that same quality. And those players are going to be very, very hard to find. So this transfer window, these next few weeks are going to be very, very interesting. I just hope that Spurs get some deals done very, very quickly. Of course, they've got to be the right players. There's no point just going out and just signing players for the sake of it. They've got to be the right players. But Thomas Frank starts the job this week. So, as I've said before, as soon as Thomas Frank's in the door, as soon as he is on those training pitches at Hotspur Way with his players, I expect things to be hotting up. I expect deals to be done. And, of course, those games are just around the corner. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe and well. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.